Hello, friends. Those of you following the curriculum have come a long way. We're nearing the end of this phase, preparing to unlock more specific abilities. And all of the following techniques will cultivate the principles that we've been exploring. And without the skills and understanding we've developed, the later practices will only reinforce bad habits. So please avoid rushing ahead of your actual training ability. You'll only obstruct your own progress. Through practicing standing practice, we studied postural relationships, and through quiet sitting, we explored the possibility of a relaxed mind. These skills lend a form of stability that every technique requires. Soon we will explore mobility that complements and expands upon this stability. If your body is frozen and imbalanced, practicing Qigong effectively for health or wellness is impossible. So to help you develop soft and subtle movements, let's list the most important spots to focus upon. Later, we'll explore 18 major pivot points throughout the body in great detail. This video is a quick and helpful conceptual overview to learn them more easily later. Some of these centers of movement are simply joints, like an elbow or an ankle. Others are less obvious and will require some explanation to understand. I'll start by naming each of them for you, and please make an effort to remember them. So, 18 pivots. Shoulders, elbows, wrists. On both sides, so that's 6. Hips, knees, and ankles. Both sides, 6 more, 12 altogether. Number 13 is the neck. Pretty easy so far. Number 14 is the waist. Number 15 is the chest. Number 16 and 17, the buttocks. And number 18, the rotational dantian. Every pivot must be stabilized, set free, and integrated into the whole body movement. And at the right time, I will detail each individually and share a series of videos and teaching methods for the exploration of each. So take a little time to explore the feeling of movement through your joints. Draw circles with your wrists and your ankles in every direction. Flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, pronation, supination. Notice how qi travels through them and into the hands, and from the hands into the fingers. Most people are shocked to learn that they don't have musculature in their fingers. The gesture of the palms generates action into the fingers. And this kind of interconnectivity is similar throughout the body. Using various mechanical leverage and fluid supports, we express our intention into the world. Our bodies are amazing. So next, experiment with the hinge of your elbows and your knees. Flexing and extending, and noticing their relationship with twisting movements. Notice how the motion can travel from the upper arm to the lower arm, and also from the upper to the lower leg. Also, notice the similarities between the elbows and the knees. These shared functions across the body will become important as they integrate and express themselves harmoniously. Lift your arm and allow it to circle as you explore the range of motion in your shoulder. Twist the length of your arm down to your fingertips. And then roll your shoulder blade around your rib cage in a circle. Notice how these different aspects of the shoulder work together to express movement freely from your torso down toward your elbow and your hand. Pay attention to the influence of muscular tension on your ability to express and enjoy these actions. Do you sense how relaxation around the joint allows the arm to lengthen? It's as though it lengthens toward the ground as you soften it. Similarly, flex and extend your leg at the hip. Then rotate your leg, twisting it inward and outward gently. And if your hips are loose enough, try rolling your pelvis around in a circle, tilting your tailbone in all directions, like in the snake and turtle form. And how is this related to stiffness or inflexibility in your lower back? And for those of you who are exceptionally inflexible or have surgical or congenital reasons for being unable to move, do your best. Be extra careful and consult a doctor or other expert before trying these practices. Never use force or try to push your way through severe pain. That is not part of our practice. You might need to find other ways to open your body and harmonize your joints. Please be gentle and mindful. I love you, and I only want the best for your body. Next, check out the feelings in your neck. Try moving it in all directions. You can say yes, no, maybe. You can wobble with enthusiasm. As you release tension in your neck, do you notice how the contraction stops pulling it downward and shortening the length? It's as though through softening around any joint, it allows it to expand and to lengthen the limb. We call this softening long, and it will become vital later in your training. Let's switch to examining the lower back and the waist. If you can, sit in a chair with the posture that we practiced earlier. Turn your head and look to the right. Then, turn your shoulders to the right. While staying vertical, twist your chest to the right. Now return to neutral. Notice that our navel isn't moving away from our center line when we turn that way. We are only twisting our upper body and missing any waist rotation. When attempting to turn the navel, most people contort their hips or lean with their rib cage, neither of which is helpful. Instead, keep your spine upright and your hips still as you turn your belly button. And it may only move a single centimeter or even less, and that's perfectly normal. Because much of this rotation moves through your lower back, the snake and turtle form is especially useful in softening your waist. Many people have difficulty seeing the chest as a pivot. It's much easier to understand the folding of an elbow or a knee. Instead, think of it more as a center of movement. For instance, what happens in your lower back when you rise and sink your chest? Try it. How does it affect your neck and your shoulders? Clearly, this area relates to the qi passing through the other joints that you may feel more confident about. And this makes it easier to understand that for the neck and shoulders to move effectively without inhibition, the chest must also become free. Eventually, It can even have a movement quality all of its own. And then the chest, shoulders, and neck all share the activities together, supporting rather than obstructing each other. And when all the pivots in the body unify, moving together harmoniously, we cultivate a genuine whole-body qi movement. The final pivots are the hardest to describe and develop, so I will only mention them quickly. The buttocks are pivots requiring deep release of the hips and legs. Once the weight leaves your body and rests on the ground, these rear pivots are free to express qi movement through the legs. And the rotational dantian is the most mysterious and becomes the most crucial pivot in our body. If you observe my videos carefully, you'll see my belly move as though it has a life of its own. When it first develops through correct training, it feels like you swallowed a basketball that rotates inside your lower abdomen. Not only can it connect and lead all of your movements, but it also conveys fun abilities that make Qigong practice even more enjoyable and nourishing. When I first began training with Master ZhiCheng, this slender older man effortlessly threw me all over the place. His arm would barely move, and yet I could do nothing to resist his strength. He was kind enough to place my hands on either side of his dantian, and I was shocked to feel just how much movement could happen in this area. Nothing from a lifetime of studying medicine or the martial arts prepared me for the experience, and our bodies are far more capable of subtle and powerful movements than anyone had told me. I'll repeat it. Our bodies are amazing. By setting your movements free and understanding the functional relationship between the pivots, you start a progress of integration and deep healing. And we will continue unifying the body-mind through softness and fullness, learning profound lessons about wholeness while cultivating our listening ability. These skills are imperative along your healing journey and will become second nature as you continue your daily Qigong practice. So what's next? Enjoy the curriculum as it's laid out for you. Learn the next few lessons with this phase of your training and follow the advice there. They will help you to understand foundational concepts and key terminology as you continue. You must learn how to practice to avoid strengthening bad habits and destroying your chance to improve. Be sure that you review any lessons that you may have missed before moving on too quickly. Bad habits are far more difficult to unlearn than new skills. Try to learn it correctly the first time. And your homework, take the time to memorize each of the 18 pivots so that it's easier for you to identify them in future lessons. Quick review. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles, neck, waist, chest, the rear pivots, and the rotational dantian. Then notice these pivots as you do your typical training session. Pay attention to how they move, how they relate to each other, and where you might be frozen. Allow softness and your awareness to soak into your tissues in preparation for a more detailed practice in the future. In the comment section, write down which of your pivots need the most work. It will help other practitioners know that they are not alone in their challenges. Allowing these areas to move regularly can prevent or heal many illnesses and pain. Remember the old saying, a hinge that opens every day will never rust. Continue eating well, sleeping deeply, and avoiding emotional drama. Remember that Qigong is all about cultivating health and well-being. You must heal your entire self to progress. Take the time to do more than just change. Take the time to transform. And enjoy your practice.